Megas. Instead goes for multiple options for Trick Room users. So he's only got one Mega, so Salamence will likely be coming in most of his battles, but then he gets the flexibility to choose whether he wants to bring Bronzong or Cresselia. So Aaron choosing to go with the flexibility for his non-Mega Pokemon, Conan preferring the flexibility for his Mega.
Yeah, and both these players are what I consider, Aaron qualified for the World Championships back in 2011, right? That's pretty long ago, but he's always been consistent. He's been around throughout the entirety of 2011 to 2016. Conan, however, is actually more on the newer side. I don't recognize his name before, I believe, 2014.
Yeah, he's a much younger player, so he's certainly hungry to kind of make a name for himself, bring home some championships, or even just top 4 qualify for Worlds, maybe even Day 2 since he's done fantastically this year.
And it looks like the players are ready to go underway here, both of them ready to send out their Pokemon. It's going to be a Salamence and a Smeargle lead out for Aaron, and a Smeargle and a Salamence lead out for Conan as well. So a little mirror match going on right here, despite the fact that there are some similar differences, or smaller differences in the team composition.
Yeah, so what'll be interesting to see here is how the Smeargles match up, if one of them or both of them have Crafty Shield, and then how each player predicts the other player to use their Smeargle. And then, of course, Salamence, usually they don't have Draco Meteor, but sometimes they do. And a Draco Meteor can single-handedly win the Salamence v Salamence mirror matchup.
Absolutely, and Draco Meteor is one of those moves that Salamence kind of wishes that it could carry, but it has so much more other moves that it wants to have.
Usually it goes for more of a tailwind to kind of support the team, and then prefers both Double Edge and Hyper Voice. Double Edge for the single target power, it's just got such a high base power move. And then Hyper Voice hits both targets, so that's more for if you want to hit both Pokemon at once, you don't really have a preference which Pokemon you hit hard. Hyper Voice will hit both Pokemon hard, just not as hard as Double Edge.
This is a very interesting mirror right here, because one misplay here could lead to pretty much not having a good game.
It really can. It can snowball out of control in mirror matchups, and that's why I love watching mirror matchups, because it's such a skill-intensive game. There's so many predictions going on.
And we do see the Salamence's Mega Evolve, you're right, Ray. A lot of mirror matches, they do come down to, playing perfectly. Smeargle on Conan's side now, gonna go for the Crafty Shield. What is Aaron's... Oh, Aaron's Salamence goes for a Hyper Voice first. Going to be able to hit the Smeargle, bringing it down to its Focus Sash, as it was a critical hit on the Smeargle right there. Not sure if that mattered too much anyways, as Salamence on Conan's side goes for a Hyper Voice as well, with a critical hit on the Smeargle as well. Going to go ahead and bring it down to Focus Sash as well, as Smeargle goes for the Dark Void, but the Crafty Shield prevents that, so pretty much a similar turn from both players. And we'll see where the Moody Boosts go here. Smeargle's defense rises sharply as its speed drops, not what Aaron really wanted to see. What is going to... Oh, special defense rises sharply, not going to matter too much as the evasiveness fell. So I think Aaron kind of came out worse on that trade right there, but it doesn't really matter.
The speed drop is pretty bad, but I don't know if that really matters since Salamence is the fastest Pokemon on the field. And Smeargle, the other opposing Smeargle has Crafty Shield, as we saw, so outspeeding for a Dark Void, not really too big of a deal considering there's a Crafty Shield anyway, even if Salamence chose to switch out or it fainted by Aaron's own Salamence if it won a speed tie or something. So pretty much an even turn. Both Hyper Voices did about the same amount of damage. I think this is really going to come to either predictions on if you want to protect Salamence or switch it out or get into a more favorable position, or if you just want to risk it and go for that 50-50 and hope your Salamence wins the speed tie.
Right. I mean, you also have to remember that Smeargle does have access to Wide Guard. That could be a huge thing too.
Yep.
Smeargle on Conan's side now going to go for a Spiky Shield, predicting or just trying to protect itself this turn, as Smeargle on Aaron's side goes for a Wide Guard. All right, so now it's going to come down to whether Conan's Salamence goes first, but no, Aaron's Salamence goes first, goes the Hyper Voice off, is going to connect on that Salamence, and is it enough to pick up the KO? It is enough to pick up the KO, and now Conan has lost his first Pokemon in the Salamence mirror.
Yeah, Conan looked pretty upset there. I wonder if he did opt for maybe a Double Edge, and hoping to outpredict Aaron and then outspeed that Salamence, but he lost the speed tie, so... unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and now Smeargle's speed is actually down 2 stages now, while its accuracy has increased. Unfortunately, that's not the boost that you want to see together.
No, but it could potentially be good if Bronzong chooses to set up Trick Room and you're able to keep your Smeargle around a couple turns. But it's only at 1 HP, so most likely the boost won't matter a whole lot either way, but just in case, it maybe won't hurt.
Yeah, and right now, I believe maybe Smeargle protected itself that turn just to keep it around, maybe provide some support here, or possibly to also, maybe have that Salamence target down that Smeargle with a Double Edge instead.
Yeah, I think something that Conan's looking to do here is sacrifice a Smeargle this turn in order to get Trick Room up and then bring maybe a Groudon in the back in for free and not have it switch in and take any damage or not waste a turn of Trick Room getting it in. So that might be what he's going for here, but he does have to watch out in case Aaron has a slower Smeargle, since Aaron also has a Trick Room team.
And we do see the Crafty Shield here coming out from Smeargle, probably going to try to set up the Bronzong here to go for the Trick Room, as Aaron's Smeargle also goes for a Crafty Shield, as Salamence goes for a double edge here, going to go ahead and target down the Bronzong here, just going to get a little bit of chip damage right there as it deals some recoil back to itself right here. And Bronzong does and is able to get a Trick Room, and Smeargle's actually slower now, but the Gyro Ball from Bronzong can easily do work to the Smeargle.
Right, so Smeargle's slow thanks to those Moody boosts. Let's see what happens here.
And it is another special, special attack drop doesn't really matter too much. None of those Moody boosts mattered. Special defense again rises sharply, but at 1 hit point, it's not going to matter either. So these Moody boosts aren't really playing in anybody's favor.
Yeah, but I think what Aaron tried to do there was allow Smeargle to stay around longer and waste turns of Conan's Trick Room. He knows his own Smeargle is slow thanks to Moody, so he doesn't really mind Trick Room getting up. He also has a Trick Room team of his own, so he's not really too worried about Trick Room. Might as well get that chip damage on Bronzong rather than focus down the Smeargle, especially since his own Smeargle might carry Crafty Shield, which we do see a lot of Smeargles carry. That way he doesn't really have to worry about Conan's Smeargle at all for now.
Yeah, and we do see Salamence switch out, probably going to preserve it later, play out a Trick Room with that Salamence. We see Primal Groudon hit the field for the first time today, and that's interesting to note that Conan actually opted to only bring one restricted Pokemon, right? I mean, it can only be Groudon or Xerneas in the back.
Yep, I think he saw Aaron's Bronzong and was a little bit worried, knowing that it's probably a Trick Room team on Aaron's side. He didn't want to bring that Xerneas.
And we do see the Spiky Shield from Smeargle again, and Smeargle's still trying to stay on the field, as Smeargle on Aaron's side goes for a Crafty Shield here, going to protect his team from any non-damaging attacks, as Bronzong goes for the Gyro Ball here, going to go ahead and connect onto that Smeargle and pick up the KO. So right now, that Smeargle on the field on Conan's side, I think is actually a bit weaker, because it's wasting turns just staying out there.
Yep. Let's see what Moody can always change the game around.
Speed drops, all right.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll see what Aaron brings in here. Maybe he's got a Bronzong. That would be pretty good here to outspeed the Smeargle under Trick Room and maybe pick up a KO. Yep.
There it is.
So Aaron was able to get his Groudon in before Conan's in Trick Room, and Conan was the one who set up Trick Room. So I think Aaron playing around the Smeargle was perfect. He didn't let Conan get in his Groudon in an ideal time, and I think Aaron's in a really good position right here.
Yeah, and it's right now, I mean, Bronzong does have access to Hypnosis. Bronzong on Conan's side could go for an easy Hypnosis, win the speed tie against the Bronzong on Aaron's side.
Yep, it'll be a risky Hypnosis, only 60% accurate, but it'd also be risky if either player decides to set up Gravity, because the other Bronzong likely has Hypnosis. You don't want to make the opposing Hypnosis way more accurate than it is.
Right, and this is such a tough matchup right now, right? Like, it's the own team going up against itself, what a lot of people actually consider the best team in the format, going up against each other. Oh, Groudon avoids Hypnosis as Bronzong on Aaron's side goes for a Gyro Ball right there, going to go ahead and target down that Smeargle, and going to go ahead and pick up the KO. And now Conan is just back against the wall as Groudon on Aaron's side goes for a Fire Punch, going to connect on that Bronzong, going to be able to, no, not enough to pick up the KO. That's pretty bulky Bronzong.
Yeah, it really is. Wouldn't be surprised if it has Heat Proof. Just kind of a tech ability. In a best of 3, I'm sure Aaron realizes now that this Bronzong is going to be heat-proof.
That's good information to have.
Exactly. So now he can feel free to Precipice Blades the Bronzong rather than Fire Punch.
I mean, that does actually kind of make sense if you do have Gravity as well, right?
Right. Since you're going to be using Gravity, you're not going to be levitating after that anyway, so might as well just use Heat-proof.
And it's also the fact that you're playing mind games with your opponent. Is this Bronzong heat-proof? Is it levitate?
Right, and that works for game 1, but in a best 2 out of 3 format, that's not as useful once you get later into the match.
We see Groudon on Aaron's side now, going to protect itself, not going to want to take any damage, not going to want to take the Hypnosis, as Bronzong on Aaron's side, both Hypnosis missed, as Bronzong on Conan's side now goes for the Fire Punch onto the Bronzong. That is not heat-proof and gets knocked out.
No, so we see why heat-proof might be the better ability for Bronzong on these kind of teams, and in the mirror matchup, that certainly gives Conan the advantage here, but that was for game 1. When Aaron does realize that Conan's Bronzong has heat-proof rather than levitate, maybe then he'd play differently. He would have Precipice Blades there, and a single target move on that Bronzong might have picked up the KO. So we'll see in games 2 and 3 if that knowledge helps Aaron.
Yeah, and that's going to be something that he has to watch out for. And also, that gives him free reign to just go ahead and Precipice Blade.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see the speeds of these Groudons, how they were trained, because in a mirror matchup, you certainly want to see whether your Groudon is faster in Trick Room or slower in Trick Room, because that'll help you decide whether Trick Room is more advantageous to you or not.
Absolutely, and Trick Room, I believe, is almost about to expire, right? I believe this is going to be the last turn, or there's
Yeah,
2
Trick
turns
Room's
left?
going to be expiring soon. It was interesting to see all these hypnosises being thrown around. Not a single one has even hit yet.
And we do see Conan's Groudon goes for the Precipice Blades first. Going to be able to do massive amounts of damage to the Groudon, as Groudon on Aaron's side goes for a Precipice Blades, connects on Pokemon as well. Going to be able to hit the Groudon, going to be able to pick up the KO on Bronzong. Not quite yet to pick up the KO on Groudon, but if Trick Room expires here, that's it. Well, actually, no, the Salamence is moving. It goes for the Hyper Voice, and that's
that'll
it.
knock out Groudon. So great game from Aaron. He played that really well. I love how he played around that Smeargle Bronzong that Conan brought out to get into a really advantageous position under Trick Room.
Right.
Before Conan could get into an advantageous position under Trick Room himself. So Aaron really played that mirror match well, though he does have to watch out because his Groudon either was a speed tie that he lost, or his Groudon is just simply slower under Trick Room than Conan's Groudon.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it always comes down to, again, team composition, right? We do see the exact same Pokemon on pretty much the exact same Pokemon, but at the same time, the way you built it, the way you, you know, the natures and the training that you've done onto it, that kind of creates different matchups.
It does, and one thing you can kind of do in this kind of situation where it's Trick Room v Trick Room, you can certainly reverse Trick Room by using Trick Room a second time. So that's certainly something Aaron can look at if he feels like he's in a pretty bad spot against Conan's Groudon. He can simply reverse Trick Room with his own Bronzong, but we saw that it doesn't have Heat Proof, so it'll go down to a Fire Punch. Maybe Cresselia will be the way to go if Conan continues to not bring Xerneas. Of course, Conan threatens bringing that Xerneas. That's what you want the Bronzong for.
Right, and I definitely think that the key turn right there was just the fact that Conan was stuck with that Smeargle on the field.
Yep, doing nothing.
Doing nothing, right? Aaron played that well. That one turn, he actually decided to attack into the Bronzong.
Right, he intentionally didn't knock out Smeargle. He wanted that Smeargle to stay around doing nothing, so that was really well played.
Yeah. Going into team preview again, you know, it's a very similar matchup between the two players. For those of you guys just tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the teams again. Aaron's going to be having the Salamence, Cresselia, Xerneas, Groudon, Smeargle, and Bronzong with Levitate. Conan, of course, with the Kangaskhan, Groudon, Xerneas, Salamence, Bronzong with the Heat Proof, and the Smeargle. Let's see if they go ahead and go for more mirror leads here, as we see Smeargle and Salamence leads for Aaron, as we see Xerneas and Smeargle out for Conan, so a bit of an adjustment right there from Conan.
Yep, I like that. Even though Aaron had Bronzong, since we saw Groudon is able to take it out so easily, I think it's okay to bring Xerneas in this matchup, especially considering we saw Aaron Salamence. Xerneas certainly a great counter to that, and Aaron kind of let Conan get some free turns here. Xerneas is a Pokemon that can really take advantage of that. So Xerneas, this is a Pokemon you have to deal with. Of course, Smeargle as well. You can't just ignore it. So this really puts the pressure on Aaron, and I like that adjustment from Conan.
Yeah, and you know, Smeargle can obviously punish if you don't deal with it, right? You can go for Dark Voids, but it also provides a lot of support for the Xerneas right now.
It does. It threatens Dark Void, which is certainly annoying. You don't want either of your Pokemon to get put to sleep. Some people have even begun using Snore on Salamence just for this exact situation. It's unlikely we see it in this match because it's still a pretty rare move, but certainly would be good in a matchup against Smeargle.
And we do see the Xerneas switch out here. Gonna go ahead and go straight into Groudon. A good read right there from Conan, as Aaron switch out his Salamence straight into that Bronzong. So Conan with the predictions right now. We'll have to see what these Smeargles choose to do, and that's gonna be huge as to what happens. We do see Primal Groudon, of course, revert, bring out the Desolate Land, going to bring out the Harsh Sunlight. Who's going to go for the Dark Void? Who's going to go for the Crafty Shield? What's going to happen? Smeargle on Conan's side, going to go for the Crafty Shield. They're not going to want to have his Groudon put to sleep right away, as Smeargle goes for the Dark Void right there, and the Crafty Shield kind of prevents that. And Crafty Shield's a really cool move. We see Smeargle's Moody activate. Special attack's going to go ahead and rise sharply, as we see the Special Defense drop. Now Conan's Moody's going to activate. What is going to happen? The attack rising sharply, not exactly mattering too much as a special defense drop, so irrelevant boost.
Right, those Moody's, neither one was very good, so I like to see that. I don't want to see games decided by Moody boost, so I'm perfectly okay with that turn. Great play by Conan, though, bringing in Groudon against a predicted Bronzong switch in. Since he had Xerneas against Salamence, you know Salamence isn't going to switch in. You know Aaron's got Bronzong on his team. He's likely brought it again, and that would have been a prime opportunity to switch it in, especially if it has Lumberry. So Conan reading that, getting his Groudon in for free this turn.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Aaron does know he has to get that Bronzong out of there. Going to switch back into the Salamence, going to go for another Intimidate here. Going to really just target down this Groudon with that Intimidate as the attack of Groudon drops. We did see Precipice Blades last game, so that means that it's probably a physical Groudon. We see the Crafty Shield from Smeargle here, as Aaron's Smeargle goes for another Dark Void, not going to be able to connect. as the Fire Punch from Conan's ground actually targets down the Smeargle right there, doing a good amount of damage, as we do see Aaron's Moody go again. Ooh, speed rising. That's what Aaron wanted. Accuracy drop, he can deal with that. And we see the accuracy rising sharply as the defense drops on Conan's Smeargle.
Yeah, the speed boost is nice, but we do know Conan's got Crafty Shield, so not as big of a deal. But Conan, really good play, fire punching the Smeargle there. So far, Conan's been playing perfectly. He's been out predicting Aaron every turn, and that's kind of what you need to do in a mirror match. So far, Conan hasn't taken any damage. He's in great position on the field. He's continued to get himself into more advantageous positions every turn, and slowly whittled down the Smeargle's HP, and so far, he hasn't taken any damage or anything in return. So, very well played by Conan so far.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. You know, again, the mirror comes down to a lot of being able to predict your opponent, and Conan's done perfectly so far. And Aaron looks flustered, right? He's trying his best, obviously.
Right, but there are still more predictions because, of course, Smeargle will want to protect Groudon with maybe a Wide Guard, but then Smeargle, with the speed boost from Moody, could go for a Dark Void, even though it's less accurate. And then if Smeargle does decide to go for a Crafty Shield, but Smeargle doesn't go for a Dark Void, well, Salamence gets to attack for free, and Groudon's not too good against Salamence.
And Smeargle does go for a Crafty Shield to protect Aaron's side here, as Conan's Smeargle also goes for a Crafty Shield here. And we do see the Salamence going to be able to move, goes for the Hyper Voice, going to go ahead and target down both Pokemon, going to go ahead and bring Smeargle down to its Focus Sash, doing about 50% to that Groudon, I believe. And another Fire Punch from Groudon, going to go ahead and connect on that Smeargle to pick up the KO.
Yeah, so I think what Aaron's thinking here is that whittle down that Groudon to a position where his own Groudon can knock it out with one Precipice Blades.
And we can see in the evasiveness rise, that's not what you want to see at all.
Well, and a speed drop, so just in case Trick Room does go up, that Smeargle will be pretty good in Trick Room.
Right, and we haven't seen Conan's fourth Pokemon yet. So far, we've seen
Xerneas, Groudon, Smeargle. And we know Aaron's got Bronzong left in the back.
And we do see Aaron send in his own Groudon here, and it's going to go ahead and revert back to its primal form. You know, we do know that Conan, I believe, has the Wide Guard, right?
Yep, we do, but at the same time, Trick Room isn't up, and Aaron knows his Groudon is faster than Conan's Groudon, so it can knock it out with a Precipice Blades. It does have to watch out for that Wide Guard, though, so this will be pretty tricky. Maybe go for a Protect with his own Groudon, and then maybe Double Edge with Salamence and try and pick up a knockout. But of course, Conan's been reading Aaron perfectly all game. Maybe he reads that.
It could be an easy chance for Conan to go for a Dark Void right there, right?
Yep.
So it's a tough call right here that Aaron has to try to bypass. You know, he's going to have to be able to read Conan this turn perfectly, just the way that Conan has read Aaron.
Yeah, I think maybe a Double Edge onto the Smeargle and a Protect from the Groudon. That's pretty safe. It will hopefully let him knock out Smeargle if it doesn't miss, and if Smeargle doesn't protect itself or switch out to Bronzong or something. And then we know as long as Trick Room isn't up, Aaron's Groudon can outspeed and KO Conan's Groudon.
And we do see the Groudon go ahead and switch out right now. Gonna go straight into, I believe that is the Xerneas. No, going for the Salamence for an Intimidate right there. Huge Intimidate onto both Salamence and Groudon to mitigate the amount of damage that's going to be done. Groudon does protect, just like you called it, Ray. And where's the Salamence going to go with its attack? As Smeargle goes for a Wide Guard, does Aaron bypass it? Aaron's smiling right now, looking at the camera, not sure if that's a smile of happiness. Goes for a Double Edge, going to go ahead and target down that Smeargle and pick up the KO.
Really good play by Aaron. That was exactly what I was hoping to see. Picks up a free KO on Smeargle. The Intimidate is important because now Aaron's Groudon can't KO Conan's Groudon. But at the same time, there's no more threat of Wide Guard, so Salamence can freely Hyper Voice, and then a Precipice Blades would still knock it out. Of course, Conan would likely want to try and set up with a Trick Room or a Geomancy with a Xerneas since he didn't bring Bronzong.
And we do see Xerneas come out now, and it's going to come down to whether or not the Xerneas can get set up. Of course, the Salamence is providing a lot of, well, provided the Intimidate support,
Yeah, the Intimidate really helps Xerneas get set up, especially since Double Edge and Precipice Blades do a lot of damage to a Xerneas. But at the same time, Xerneas can simply Moonblast the Salamence and pick up a free KO there, but this would be a good time to switch in Bronzong, and I think Conan recognizes that. So we've already seen him out-predict Bronzong switch-ins before. I wouldn't be surprised if he does it again here, since this is certainly a turn Aaron's going to want to switch out from the Intimidate and bring in Bronzong in a favorable matchup against both of these Pokemon.
And we do see Conan switch out right now. Conan looking at Aaron. Aaron not looking too happy, I believe, as we do see the Groudon come in to try to check that Bronzong that Conan believes is coming in. Salamence stays in. Salamence goes for a Hyper Voice. Both of Aaron's Pokemon stay in. Huge Hyper Voice right there as Xerneas goes for a Geomancy. Going to go ahead and boost its stats by 2 stages of increased special attack. 2 stages of increased special defense and 2 stages of speed thanks to that power herb that it's actually carrying. And now Aaron looks pretty content.
Yeah, I wonder if he called this. He probably knew that Conan thought he'd switch out to Bronzong and instead went for a double attack, hopefully a Precipice Blades here to knock out Groudon and deal a lot of damage to that Xerneas.
And we do see Groudon go for the Precipice Blades here, connects with both Pokemon, and that should be enough to pick up the KO on the Groudon. Xerneas hangs on with about maybe 40% of his hit points remaining, but you know, the Groudon's gone. That's a huge, huge sigh of relief for that Bronzong.
It really is, because Bronzong will just take care of this Xerneas so easily, and Salamence, without a fire move, can't really do anything to the Bronzong, so Aaron's in a really, really good spot here to take this match 2-0.
He's not quite out of the woods just yet. He does have to find a way to be able to bypass both Salamence and Xerneas, right?
Right, but at the same time, both his Pokemon are full health. Groudon maybe would get knocked out by a Hyper Voice that's single target after the Geomancy Dazzling Gleam takes care of Salamence, but at the same time, Aaron doesn't need to risk that. He can just wait until he gets Bronzong and Groudon at the same time, and there's really nothing that Conan can do against that.
Absolutely. Do you think a switch play here is best to kind of reset Groudon's attack stat?
Maybe, but at the same time, you don't want Bronzong taking extra damage that it doesn't need to, since it's the win condition here, since it walls both Salamence and Xerneas. And I don't think Groudon minds that attack drop. I think a Fire Punch from this range, even intimidated, would KO the Xerneas, but I'm not sure.
It's 2 stages of decreased attack now, I believe.
Then it probably wouldn't, but at the same time, Bronzong would KO it with a Gyro Ball, so
Right.
I really don't think Aaron needs to risk taking any extra damage on his Groudon or Bronzong.
And we do see Salamence now Mega Evolve, finally activating its Mega. Xerneas now going to protect itself, not going to want to take any damage this turn at all, as the Salamence also protects, probably trying to burn some Protect turns here from this Groudon here, as Groudon does go for Protect, and Conan did read that pretty well, I think.
Yeah, he did. It baits out Aaron's Protect, so that way he can't protect the next turn. So that is still a good play from Conan, but he's still in a really, really bad
Tough spot.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you there, Ray. Right now, the key Pokemon is just getting that Bronzong.
Yep, get
Safely,
Bronzong in
of
safely.
course.
Don't take any unneeded damage. This turn maybe, because you don't want Groudon to take that single target damage, so it's tricky, because you know a Dazzling Gleam is coming, and then likely a Hyper Voice to take advantage of that single target damage for Hyper Voice, since Salamence will get knocked out by that Dazzling Gleam, and that should be enough to knock out the Groudon, so it's still a tricky position here if Aaron wants to risk maybe now switch out Groudon to Bronzong since he can't protect anymore. Maybe now would be a decent time, but at the same time, you don't really want to risk that extra damage, because I imagine then another double up into it with maybe a Moon Blast, and whatever Salamence decides to go for would take out Bronzong after that.
And we do see the Dazzling Gleam connect. It does connect onto that Salamence. It does about 40% to that Groudon. And what is this Salamence going to do? Goes for a single target Hyper Voice right now.
We'll see
Is it
how
going to be able to pick up the
Aaron's
KO?
Groudon's trained.
Groudon hangs on and goes for a Fire Punch. Going to go ahead and hit that Xerneas. Is it going to be enough to pick up the KO? It is not enough to pick up the KO. A burn would have been nice there. Conan's excited.
Yeah, barely missing the knockout for both the Groudon and the Xerneas, but at the same time, this is a free opportunity to get up Trick Room with Bronzong, because barring like double critical hits, there's no way Bronzong can get knocked out here. So simply protecting Groudon, setting up Trick Room, and then you're just free to go to town on Conan's Pokemon.
Go for a Fire Punch on that Xerneas and then Gyro Ball the Salamence,
Yep.
right? Yeah. Definitely a good play right there from Aaron. That's really the end game that he was playing for, and he's probably really happy that Salamence finally got knocked out.
Yep, finally a free chance to bring in Bronzong alongside Groudon. It's a shame Groudon's only got just a smidge of hit points left, but that's okay, because assuming he does get up Trick Room, then the game will be over.
Yeah, and
The only thing
It
Conan
should
can
be-
really
it should
go
be
for
easy.
here, I think, is just
Moonblast, Double Edge, or Hyper Voice.
like some kind of timer stall, maybe. Like double up into the Bronzong and then just protect, spend the 45 seconds, protect again, and just see if maybe you can win that HP war when time goes down.
We do see the Moonblast now connect onto that Bronzong. Single target. Does about 40% again, and does get a special attack drop. Not going to matter too much to Bronzong, as Salamence goes for a Hyper Voice here. Going to go ahead and connect onto that Bronzong as well, as Bronzong now has free reign to put up that Trick Room, and it does put up that Trick Room. And now, you're right, Conan's game is probably the timer game.
Yeah, you spend the full 45 seconds and just protect with both Xerneas and Salamence, and then you just hope how the turn plays out. Maybe the animations take long enough where then all you would need would be another double protect, or at least get a protect on Xerneas and then attack with the Salamence, so that way you can knock out the Groudon
Oh, yeah.
and then just win based on time. Because if this game if there was no timer, Aaron would be in a really, really good spot here. But since there's a timer, it just makes it gives Conan an extra out. So I think that is his win condition. I think he recognizes that. We see the time going down.
Yeah, and as long as Bronzong can get Salomons down, I believe time is the condition that Conan's playing to, but Aaron's also taking a long time to make his decision as well. Maybe Aaron's also thinking about playing the timer game, but I don't think that he has the advantage to.
Yeah, I don't think that's wise to play the timer game if I'm Aaron.
And we do see the Xerneas here protect itself. Bronzong goes for Hypnosis, connects onto the
Wow.
Salamence. Huge Hypnosis onto Conan Salamence, the first Hypnosis to hit all morning. And that is a huge Hypnosis as Groudon now goes for a Fire Punch into the Xerneas Protect, and Salamence takes its first turn of sleep. Huge, huge turn right there. But now, you know, it is going to be able to go to one turn. Xerneas is easily knocked out.
Yep, I imagine Conan, he'll have to go for a double protect here, or else there's no way he can win this. Even if time ran out, if Salamence stays asleep, it's 2v1 regardless of HP. Aaron would win based on time there, so he's got a timer stall and keep this Xerneas alive with another protect, which
Xerneas
just doesn't get.
Bronzong goes for a Gyro Ball now, gonna go ahead and connect onto that Salamence. Not gonna do that much damage, maybe about 30% right there as Groudon goes for a Fire Punch, connects onto that Xerneas, and now time is in Aaron's favor as long as the Salamence stays asleep.
Yeah, but even then, I think even if it wakes up and gets off a Hyper Voice, picking up a double KO or something, the damage that Aaron would be able to put out this turn, I think would be enough to win based on time. But we'll see. You never know what happens with critical hits.
Yeah, and that Hypnosis was huge right there. What a big, big play. What a great time for Hypnosis to hit.
Oh, yeah, it's, what, missed like 5 or 6 already, and finally hits in a key moment.
And we do see, you know, the closing turn here. This should be the last turn of the match, regardless of whether or not the Salamence gets knocked out. You know, Gyro Ball and a Fire Punch, you know, that's going to do a good amount of damage.
Yep, the Fire Punch won't thanks to the double Intimidate, but it's still Sun boosted and it's still a Groudon, so that little bit of damage is good. Of course, you could always just protect Groudon here and then just Gyro Ball with Bronzong. Do a lot of damage. It won't be enough for Salamence to knock out Bronzong in return and then win based on HP. So a simple protect from Groudon and Gyro Ball wins the game.
And we do see Groudon protect itself right here. Gonna go ahead and not risk getting knocked out at all this turn. Salamence also tries to protect there. Gonna try to wake up and stall out Trick Room again as well. Bronzong goes for the Gyro Ball now, gonna connect onto Salamence, gonna bring it down to about 40% of its hit points remaining, and that should do it. No need to take another turn. Aaron Traylor is gonna go ahead and win this based on the Pokemon count 2-0, as long as he doesn't press any buttons to complete the turn.
Yep. So, really well played by Aaron. Conan did recognize his win condition. It's just that Hypnosis came through, and it was a really intense match. There were a lot of predictions on both sides. Conan made some really nice plays, but Aaron just a little bit better.
Absolutely, Ray. And what an intense mirror match that we had to watch here. The time does run out, and Aaron Traylor takes it, wins 2-0.